How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Calcifer Gaming. Today I'm going to talk about the PlayStation 5 showcase. Uh, as I'm recording it, it was yesterday, but I still got to edit this, and it'll probably come out tomorrow. So let's just go over some of the stuff that they revealed. Everybody's probably heard by now about Spider-Man 2, which looks good. It seems to be bringing in Miles Morales back in his suit. It's not clear whether it'll be like a switch between Peter Parker and Miles Morales or how that's going to work. The narration in the background implied that Kraven the Hunter will probably be the big bad, which is an interesting choice to go down. And we also got to see Venom at the end of the trailer, and it's kind of ambiguous about whether Venom is going to be an antagonist or Venom is going to help you out in some capacity. So that's Spider-Man 2, and then they also announced a Wolverine game. Insomniac's making it as well. A lot of people are excited. I'm a little skeptical. One, it just feels like just from the art style that they displayed in the trailer, it seems like a more cartoony version of what I would imagine to be like X-Men Origins Wolverine, which wasn't by far a bad game, but it was just a pure hack and slash, like, in a lot of ways the combat is very similar to how Spider-Man works now, because there's a lot of fast-paced movement, jumping around, launching into combos. It was like you just clawed your way left and right, and I feel like that's probably what we're going to get a lot of with the Insomniac doing it. So I'm a little hesitant on the Wolverine game. It seemed a little too cartoony. I did like how X-Men Origins Wolverine, the game, not the movie, it had more realistic, as realistic as graphics could get back then, I guess. But it wasn't trying to be like the stylized cartoony kind of thing, and that's kind of what I got out of the trailer. But we pretty much know nothing about it, except it's coming on PlayStation 5. And the way PlayStation's been doing things lately, who knows, it might still be on PS4. And speaking of that, that's a good way to transition into my next couple points is Horizon Forbidden West. We saw a little bit of that. I never actually finished Horizon Zero Dawn. My wife beat it. She was a little disappointed by it, and I kind of felt like, well, if she's disappointed and she actually played through the whole game, she doesn't really finish a whole lot of games, so it's like I couldn't really get into it. It just felt like I've just played so many open world stealth kind of games like that it was technically beautiful. Like, just looking at the eyes and the cutscenes and stuff, it was amazing, but I just couldn't get that into it. And so if I play it, I'll probably be playing it on the PS4, because that's gonna be an option. I have a PS4 Pro. I'll probably check out those new games on it. Speaking of which, God of War, we saw it. I guess we'll be able to play it on PS4 as well. Sony's recently gotten some hot water about their upgrade path. We talked about that a little bit on the last podcast with Nintendo Prodigy, and not really sure how they're going to go about doing it from now on, because the way Forbidden West was kind of implying is you basically have to rebuy the game, which would really suck. Personally, if it's like I buy a PS4 copy and then I have an option at a little later point to pay $10 more and get a PS5 copy and it stays within my storefront, I'm totally on board for that. I don't see a reason why not. So God of War looks good. We didn't see much, just kind of tease what story elements we might be seeing. It seems Weirdly enough, that Kratos is very trying to avoid the Asgardian gods, and he's just trying to stay out of conflict. I guess because he knows that, like, where all that leads him, and he's probably afraid for the safety of his son. So, Ragnarok is coming. We did see in the story beats that they're going to try to save Tyr, and Tyr's a big part of Ragnarok. Looked like Tyr had both hands though. I wonder if we're gonna see like the wolf cut his hand off. I didn't play the last God of War game, so I'm not really familiar with where the story is. But yeah, I'm not a big PlayStation person. Like I said, I have a PS4 Pro, but it's weird. Like, I like the kind of games that are PlayStation exclusives. I'm just never like that big into PlayStation exclusives. You know, like almost all PlayStation exclusives are like third-person, open world, RPG light kind of games, to adventure kind of games. I like that kind of game. I really do. I played the new Tomb Raiders, and I really enjoyed actually Days Gone. I really enjoyed Days Gone. I thought it was a good game. I mean, it didn't really like innovate anything new, but it was just, the story was good enough that it kept me going into it. And I always really liked Sam Witwer. You know, I grew up seeing him act in stuff like Smallville, and he played Star Killer in the Force Unleashed games, so pretty much anytime I see Sam Witwer, I gotta check something out. So there is a new game that I saw a trailer for that I thought was really interesting. It's called Forspoken, I believe. It's let's see. Yeah, Forspoken. Yeah, Forspoken looks really good, and kind of has a very Bayonetta kind of feel. It feels like a Bayonetta style combat combined with like a Prince of Persia isekai kind of genre. It feels like PlayStation's kind of like taking the surface level of what people liked of Scalebound, which was canceled by Microsoft, and actually like incorporating it into a much better looking game with more fluid combat, because that fast pace like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry style combat. Of course, we also got an announcement for Knights of the Old Republic Remastered. We've been hearing rumors about this for a long time. I've only recently been playing Knights of the Old Republic 2 on PC. Back in the day, I had a friend. He gave me a copy of Knights of the Old Republic 2 Ultimate Sith Edition for the original Xbox. But where I got a third generation Xbox 360, it didn't have any backwards compatibility, so I couldn't play the Xbox disc on my 360. So I like had the game, but I never got to play it, and I don't even know where it is now. I might still have it somewhere, but if maybe I need to look for it. Maybe the Xbox One Series X has enough backwards compatibility now for it. But so I never played the first one, and I've recently got a Steam key for the second one, and I've been playing it, and it has a lot of like very like Dragon Age Origins vibes to me, and I love that. Like, I was really a big fan of Dragon Age Origins, and you know, it's kind of dated, so like with so many options and a backlog to play through of more modern games, it's hard to like stay focused. But it was a lot of fun, and I think seeing it remastered, I can definitely enjoy it. Now, I don't intend on buying a PlayStation 5 just to play Knights of the Old Republic Remastered, especially because like there are multiple ways you can do a remaster. You know, you see something like we've seen more recently, where they take the source code and they take the original game and they just like upscale it as much as possible, but they don't actually change any of the textures or anything. And when they do that, there's so much of a limit. It's kind of like I was talking in the last podcast about Skyrim Remastered again. Like, unless you're replacing actual assets, you know, improving the texture detail and everything, games can only look so good. You know, you can't make, you know, you can make Minecraft look good. You can improve the textures and everything, but in order to like make it look realistic, you have to completely alter like the mesh. You know, you gotta make it stop looking like blocks, basically. And it's kind of more of a graphical overhaul, and that's kind of a bigger deal. And weirdly enough, you have seen it in the modding community before, especially with games like Skyrim, where they actually do rehaul the graphics completely. But when you see Bethesda or a lot of these other companies do a remaster, most of the time it's just a quick cash grab, and they'll just upscale some stuff, add some new lighting, but they don't fundamentally rehaul the game. So I think that's what I'm waiting to see with KOTOR, is are they going to actually rehaul the game? And, you know, that's potentially a good thing, because like then we'll get to see like KOTOR with like Dragon Age Inquisition or better graphics. I know that's kind of a low bar, but I mean, even that level of improvement would make the game definitely worthwhile, as long as they don't change the core of the game mechanics, because there's so few RPGs nowadays that have that kind of deep level. The only one I can think of recent times is something like Greedfall, which is like very heavily inspired off of that kind of game. But I just found, like, I don't know if it's like I'm just too old to get invested into a new world or something. I just found it difficult. But Greedfall is like, it's risky. It's a new IP, and I just didn't find anything about the world very captivating. Like, it seemed kind of like a rehash of a lot of stuff. Like, it was more of like a love letter to games of its genre, which I enjoyed. It's the kind of game that I paid for, and I don't regret paying for, because it supports that kind of game, but it's not the kind of game that I can actually force myself to finish, as bad as that is. But, so, you know, KOTOR looks good. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 5 for it. I don't think anybody will, especially because they tried to hide it, but it is coming out for PC. So, PC Master Race. Seems like there are no actual exclusives anymore, unless you have a Nintendo system, because Nintendo locks all their shit down forever. But, like, if you got a PlayStation 5, you got an Xbox, it doesn't matter. If you got a PC, you're going to get all of it eventually. So, talking about, so Forsaken, KOTOR, those look good. Wolverine, Spider-Man 2. What else? Nothing else really caught my eye in particular. A little disappointed not seeing any PSVR support, because I definitely like seeing VR, and I think PSVR is definitely a way to go about it. It's not as much of a value as something like Oculus Quest, where you have a self-contained system. You do have to purchase additional equipment on top of your gaming system, but if you're talking about like getting bang for your buck, I mean, if you think about it, if a PlayStation VR headset and everything costs about $300, which is what the Oculus Quest cost, and then it can function off of the PlayStation 5, I mean, you don't have to worry about like computing power as much, which is kind of an issue with the Quest 2, because you got like the whole PlayStation powering it, so you probably have to worry about a bit less. That's just a quick breakdown of my thoughts on the PlayStation Showcase. It was good. Nothing like I gotta go out and buy a PS5 right now. Not that I could if I wanted to, but yeah, there was some good stuff. Next time I have Nintendo Prodigy on, we'll talk about it. He's more of a PlayStation fan, so I say he was super excited to see all that. One thing I have seen though is there is some criticism of Insomniac doing Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, and I can definitely see where they're coming from with that, because I was a fan, as an Xbox more person, I was a big fan of Sunset Overdrive. I thought it was a really cool game, and when I heard they were making the Spider-Man game, I was like, the way that you traverse the world with Sunset Overdrive, I was like, these are the perfect people to make a Spider-Man game, because they know how to make a good travel mechanic in a game. That being said, it kind of sucks that like they'll never get to do another unique game like Sunset Overdrive. It kind of sucks that they're gonna probably just keep churning out Marvel games that have very similar fighting mechanics and stuff. You know, it's probably what we're gonna see with Wolverine. It's probably gonna be, like I said, like a more cartoony version of X-Men Origins Wolverine with like Spider-Man's combat system. I don't really expect any more of that. I don't think anybody really wants any more than that. But it would be nice to see them, you know, take a risk, do something, you know, a little more unique, like they did with like Infamous and stuff. Was that them? I don't know. I'll cut this part out. Alright, well that wraps it up. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. More videos on the way.